Welcome to AMN's Women at the Wheel podcast. In this all-new series, Amy Antenora, Nadine, Battah, and myself, Mary DellaValle, will sit down with some of today's leading women professionals in the automotive aftermarket who are pursuing their careers with passion and helping shape the future of our industry.
Welcome to the Women at the Wheel podcast. I'm Amy Antenora, editor of Aftermarket News, and I'm very pleased to have Jacki Lutz with us here today. Jacki is head of global communications training and e-commerce for Aftermarket at Sensata Technologies. Welcome, Jacki. So glad to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Thrilled to have you. You were an honoree in our 2021 class of Women at the Wheel. So we're here to talk about your experience in the aftermarket and really glad to have you here today. Are you ready to get started?
I am. Let's do this.
Okay, great. So tell us a little bit about your current role at Sensata. You've really, I know you've been in the industry 9 years, is that correct?
That's
You've really
correct.
packed a lot of experience in 9 short years. Why don't you tell us about it?
Thank you. Yeah. So I started out kind of as like Schrader's first marketing hire, really. Over the past 9 years, that's really grown into this global communications role. I've had a global team now for I think like 6 years. And just in the past 2 years, so beginning of 2021, they ended up bringing training and e-commerce under kind of this communications umbrella, which has been a really neat move because, training, especially through COVID, we really had to get creative, like
Absolutely.
all companies had to. And we were primarily face-to-face training. And then when COVID happened, we had to get more virtual. We had to think a bit differently. We needed to put out more video, more webinars, and still find ways to engage with that audience. And training just naturally started becoming more of a communications channel, and we needed them to be closer knit with our marketing communications, world. And similarly with the e-commerce, we just started our e-commerce department in 2021. That was kind of part of my, responsibility was to start building that team. And it was, again, like another communications channel that we wanted to work really closely with marketing communications. So, watching these 3 teams just become more and more efficient and just learn new skills together and just do incredible work has been so much fun to be a part of. And then in addition to that, I also support on the market intelligence side, our strategic marketing. And as of late, I'm actually starting to support our OE auto team as well and starting to help build their Marcom team there. So I feel like I'm learning a lot really, really, really fast, which has been probably one of the best challenges I've ever had.
Okay, so in addition to your massive responsibilities that you're handling so well, I was peeking on your LinkedIn profile and was really blown away. You are engaged in so many different volunteer efforts. How do you find the time? I know you're involved in Yang, Women in Auto Care, various AASA councils. Have I missed any of them?
No, you probably hit them all. It's always felt, you made me think about this because I don't really know. I think it feels very natural to me to be very involved. And as I think about it, in high school, I was always playing every sport I could possibly play. I was always on the student council. I was just always that person. In college, I was always taking way too many credits because, of course, I wanted to graduate early. And I was doing the unpaid internships back when that was a thing. Yep. And then working part-time, plus, playing lacrosse. And wow. I was volunteering back then, too. So, I think the packed schedule thing feels like my rhythm and my norm. And when, I entered into the automotive aftermarket, I didn't know at first that all these opportunities existed. So, there was a few years there where I didn't really do much of anything, and that was totally fine with me because, of course, I still filled my schedule. I had a freelance business on the side, while I was working at first. I always packed my schedule. But then I had a couple mentors that brought some opportunities to me and told me that they'd like to see me be more engaged. And so I started kind of, stepping in a little bit, raising my hand here and there. And before I knew it, I was getting that natural rhythm back of where, when I see people doing things that I like, I just want to be a part of it. It feels very, very natural for me to raise my hand and try to find the person to find out how I can get more involved. And as I do, I start to see, you know, where can I actually add value? You know, where is the need with this group? And then if it's something that matches a skill set that I have, I almost always end up naturally gravitating towards like a leadership role. Like that feels very natural to me to you know, want to get at, you know, be the person that rallies everybody up behind a mission and having goals, and like let's figure out a way to achieve these and getting everybody pumped and excited. So it's been really neat because the aftermarket is absolutely full of all of these opportunities. It's just it's a matter of picking one, you know. So it's great.
I'm a little intrigued by something you just said. Tell me more about that. You said you would sort of sit back and you'd see where there's a need. Tell me a little bit more about that. Like, how do you go about noticing that and then approaching the group? Like, for as an example, a younger person that wants to get involved, what would you recommend that they do to kind of follow in your footsteps and get engaged?
It starts with raising your hand. If there is an effort that you find interesting and that speaks to you, you're going to add value. Everybody around that table adds value, and you do deserve a seat at that table, absolutely. But it just, picking that cause is one thing. Raising your hand, I think you'd be really surprised at how easily they will accept you in. You know, they always want people who are wanting to be passionate about what they're passionate about. And then it's just about, you know, watching for a little while, sitting back. It's just like starting a new job. Sit back for 90 days. Watch how things are going. You know, see where their biggest needs are, see where the weaknesses are, see what their challenges are, and then see if, you know, do you have experience to any of that you can lend? Start speaking out, you know, add that value. You have the value. It's just, it's having that confidence to speak up and ask the questions and start to kind of help them, you know, work towards their mission. And I think people will find, I know that, especially through like my LinkedIn platform, I'm always pushing people to get involved, because I was totally that person who wasn't sure that I belonged here yet. I didn't feel like a sense of ownership about the industry. So for me to raise my hand didn't feel very natural yet, because all these people have been in this industry forever. Like, what in the world could I possibly add? But, you know, I think people, you know, I get people messaging me privately a lot saying like, oh, I would really like to get involved in this and this and this. And I just end up connecting them with those people. And it's really up to them still to raise their hand, to find where they add value, and then decide how far you want to go. You know, it's okay too to sit on a committee for 2 years and then roll off. But, you know, if you really feel like you can be a change agent, there's been a few councils I've been on where I'm like, actually, I'm going to stick around. Like, I want the leadership role in this one, because I think that I can do a lot of good here. You know, that's kind of a decision that you can make, and I think people would be really surprised to see how many opportunities are out there for people to do that. Well,
I applaud you for speaking up about it, because like you said, if you have a voice and you have that unique perspective and you can offer that, that's valuable in and of itself. But a lot of people just don't even consider that. You know, a lot of times when you're new, you think you have to pay your dues, and my voice doesn't matter until I've been here X number of years or until I have this title. But you've really empowered people to think otherwise. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
So you are always very vocal about getting involved. I know you speak on LinkedIn about joining Yang, participating. What are some of the benefits that you get out of that from your involvement in these different organizations?
I get a lot of professional development. Exposure for my company is a big one. Exposure for myself. It's how I build my network. It's how I bring back market intelligence to my company. It's how I, you know, fulfill the duty that we all have to really give back to the industry and feel like you're doing something and making a difference. I feel like there's so many more reasons to participate and get involved than there is to just sit back and watch everybody else do all the work and have all the fun. And it is why I'm so vocal about it, because I feel like there's really a huge retention tool there. The more involved somebody is with these industry initiatives and the more people they meet in this industry, the less they're going to want to leave and start over somewhere else, you know?
Absolutely.
So I think that there's a lot of retention involved, and it's a big reason why I'm always, you know, so encouraging for people to get out and trying to get these opportunities in front of people.
So let's talk about work-life balance. I know you're a busy professional. We just talked about all of your different philanthropic organizations that you're involved in the industry as well. And then I think I understand you guys own a family farm as well. Is this true?
Mm-hmm. It's
wow.
true.
And you have 2 young children at home. Yes. So do you think work-life balance exists? And if so, what does that look like for you?
You know, I don't think about it as much as I probably should. So like going into COVID, I had 0 children. And coming out of COVID, I had 2. So, and you know, I guess it was a blessing in a lot of ways to be home those 2 years and to not, you know, be traveling. And you know, my kids were home. We weren't shuffling them around. But now that things are coming back to normal, reality is definitely setting in. And, you know, we're trying to, you know, I'm trying to get back out on the road. I'm trying to get to the office more and see people, and we're shuffling our kids around, and we're trying to eat less microwaved meals. You know, there's just like everything all at once.
Right.
And I definitely can feel like, you know, something's got to give. But the whole work-life balance, if it does exist, I'm definitely still looking for it. And I think the way that I maybe approach it, I've never really thought about it, but it's really like a day-to-day thing. I think when somebody asks like work-life balance, you feel like it has to be like this plan that you totally don't have. Yeah. And this like long-term thing that's just, you know, I think it's almost more like a journey than a destination. And it's something that changes all the time. And for me, you know, there's days where I want to pick up my kids an hour early from daycare just because I feel like I haven't seen them and I feel like I need that. So I do that. But then there's also after, you know, I'm usually watching them alone on the weekends. You know, after you spend 48 hours with a 2.5-year-old and a 10-month-old telling you what to do, you know, I'm ready for work Monday morning. Sure. And I'm ready to bring my kids to daycare. And I honestly feel like my career makes me a better mom. I don't know what kind of mom I would be if I didn't have that, you know, too. And, you know, once you get a taste of a career, it's hard to imagine not having that. And once you get a taste of being a mother, it's hard to imagine not having that. So there's just this world that has to collide, and I think it's just checking in on a day-to-day basis and see how you feel. And I think the key is really knowing that there probably isn't a key, and that you have to be okay with knowing that you're never really gonna find the balance. As soon as you do, something's gonna happen. Exactly. A war is gonna break out, a recession's gonna hit, a pandemic's going to hit, something's going to happen. These are all negative things. But, you know, something will happen that will change your balance, and you're going to have to redo it again. So I think it's just a lot of added pressure for people to really feel like they're doing things right. I just don't know if that right thing exists, you know, on a very broad scale.
And I think being a working mom is a unique pressure in and of itself. But what a great example you're setting for your kids, for them to see that, you know, you're so involved in your community and your business life. And I'm curious too about the farm. What's that like? Animals, vegetables? Tell us about it.
So it's a 500-acre farm.
Wow.
My husband actually grew up on it.
Oh, wow.
He owns it with his brother. His brother's more of like the day-to-day, you know, keeper of it. They have anywhere from 50 to 100 cows at any time. It's a beef farm. I am not a farmer. That was something I made very clear going into this. I don't plan to be a farmer. I do think it's going to be awesome to raise our kids there, though. Absolutely. You know, my 2-year-old's already living the dream, riding the big tractors, you know, getting to be around animals. Yeah. And I know that they're going to probably grow up with a good work ethic,
sure,
if I had
absolutely.
to guess. And it's a good farm. You know, they treat their animals really well. They work really hard. It's more of it's a hobby. It's an investment, but it's a hobby, and something that, you know, I think it'll be fun to raise our kids out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That sounds great. And no shortage of a nice steak every once in a while, it sounds like.
Yes, it's a little different seeing the face.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't go over there very much anymore.
They are adorable, aren't
they?
they?
Especially these days, it is nice to have access to meat that you know where it came from, and you know, you don't have to pay for.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Again, I mentioned I was looking at your LinkedIn profile a little bit. I'm so impressed. And one of the accolades I saw listed was that you're a TIA certified instructor. So what does that entail?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked this question because it literally never comes up. So I never really get to talk about it. So being a TIA certified instructor is actually something that Schrader requires of all of their, I would call them like professional admin type roles. I don't know if admin's the right word, but They just believe that in order for us to service our customers and our end users as best as we can, it really helps to live in their world for a week. So we send everybody to our Troy, Michigan office. They get dirty in the garage and they, change tires and learn how to balance a wheel and patch a tire and learn how to service TPMS. And it just kind of gives you a really good perspective. So, whatever you are doing to help service our customers, whether you're in pricing or if you're in product development, if you're in marketing communications, it just helps you understand who we're working for and who we're ultimately serving.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think they slowed down a bit during COVID.
Sure.
So there's definitely some people we need to get caught up. But that's something that Schrader's always done, and I've actually always really respected that about them.
Cool. And have you had to put that knowledge to use at all?
Thank goodness no. I'm actually waiting for it though, because I think it'll make such a good LinkedIn video when I can finally, that TPMS light has not come on for me in 9 years.
Wow.
It's
Quality
very
product,
frustrating.
I guess.
Yeah,
right?
it's got good sensors.
That's great. So what would you say is the best or most memorable career advice you've ever been given? Does anything stand out for you?
It's so hard because there's just so many. I have been so blessed with incredible mentors in this industry. But the one that really stands out to me that I think I use every single day actually came from my longest mentor, my father, who I don't remember what he was talking about, but I know I was probably like 15 years old, like somewhere around there. And he told me, most people are good, which seems like a very simple concept, and it is a very simple concept, but I use it every single day because it helps me. I like to think that I'm a pretty joyful person. I'm very optimistic about my company. I'm optimistic about the world. I'm optimistic, and I think it's because I'm optimistic about people, and it helps me give people second chances. It helps me build people up when they make mistakes.
Right.
It helps me, keeps me from becoming cynical and, just loving people and being someone that somebody wants to work with.
Yeah.
And dealing with difficult people. If it's so easy to be a pessimist these days. You turn on the news for 5 seconds and you don't believe that people are good anymore. And I think that if I look back on my career and any of the good that I've ever done, so much of it has been bringing people together and seeing the good in people and helping other people see the good in people. Right. And very rarely was it me putting pen to paper and, something glorious came out of it. It's always been, bringing people together, and it really starts with, knowing that most people are good and choosing every single day to believe that.
Yeah, that's really lovely. Simple but powerful. Great leadership advice from what sounds like a great leader. It sounds like you had two wonderful parents that raised you really well.
Thank you very much. I'll make sure they know that.
Well, congratulations on all your successes in the industry so far. You've really done an impressive amount of work and accomplishment and investing your time back into the industry, and I applaud you for that. So
thank you so much,
congratulations, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors, which we'll be watching.
Oh, thank you so much. This was really fun.
Thanks
for having me.
Thanks for coming in today. We appreciate it.